So let us bring ourselves into a posture that's upright and stable. As we lower or close our eyes, whichever you prefer. Resting attention on the sensations of the body sitting. And I'll leave it at that. If you're trying to do this practice, something's getting in the way. Lots of obstacles arising right now, probably in everybody. Are you noticing them, or are you trapped by them, even if momentarily? Can you free yourself from them? Which doesn't involve trying either. If you try to free yourself, you're just going to add to the struggle. And if you experience a struggle, you're missing an obstacle. Because all you're doing is sitting and being present. That's it. Sitting and being present. There's absolutely nothing to do. So make sure you're not doing anything. Mind will wander, and that will create an internal struggle, because we'll get lost in obstacles that we don't realize are there. If you're doing, in some ways, a focused attention practice, or if you've been practicing focused attention so that you don't actually have to do a focused attention practice, because the foundational qualities that are developed of mindfulness are more robust within you. The moment you realize that your mind has wandered, well, there's nothing to come back to because you're already here. I would encourage you to see clearly into the various thoughts that are arising. And when I say see clearly, what we mean, is to see them as something that's arising in the middle of doing nothing. So what are they here for? What do they offer? What use are they? Maybe. Probably not. They're explaining the struggle. They're offering exit strategies. They're helping to settle. And whatever it is that your experience is, it's perfect as it is. If you can continue to back up and see it and observe it as it is. Then, since about 6 minutes has passed, but for an occasional reminder of the fundamentals, I didn't give you really any practice instruction. I just occasionally dropped in some reminders. When you're ready, opening the eyes, lifting the gaze. Halloween. I see some of us are.
Dress up.
It's just, you know,
I'm here in a leather trench. I tied my own tie, obviously. You didn't even dress up.
Wow.
she taped Sherlock to herself.
Are you really have a magnet?
This is my mom. This is from like when she did like tax accounting. It's like a little sticky.
That's from the Dark Ages.
That was a dark night. She bought that one.
well, first of all, I want to encourage us not to go through life concerned about pleasing other people.
I'm pleased.
Well, at the same time, it's important and useful to recognize that we are interconnected, we support each other, we can learn from each other, and we can be inspired by each other. I'm inspired by your Sherlock Holmes-esque.
We don't have a leather trench. It just got a little hot here.
Inspired by the many accoutrements that you brought from your spike, what are they called?
Magnifying
glasses. To your trench coat, to your tie, to your taping, and we'll see what other people might have brought in that regard. Of course, this class has been a class all semester long in cultivating the Sherlock Holmes, and we could say the noble qualities of Sherlock Holmes, the beneficial attributes of Sherlock Holmes. Surely, like all human beings, he was complicated. Not every aspect of his personality is worth modeling. We can learn from everybody, even those we admire greatly, because they're human beings just going through their life as best they can. And we tend to rise in certain domains, and we don't necessarily have it all figured out. And that's important to remember, I think, as we enter the world professionally more fully, as you all are, so that we see people, whether they're judges or partners in practice or of law or in business or at home, or figures that we have long learned from, that there's a complexity, and to see that more clearly, it allows it to also be seen more clearly in ourselves. We can have grace for others, we can offer it to ourselves. If we don't see it clearly in others, if we confuse them with some archetype that just seems to have it all together, then we will somehow put upon ourselves an expectation that's actually nowhere near close to what reality actually provides us with. It's about seeing things more clearly. It's about seeing others more clearly and ourselves more clearly. I did bring this.
It's like a salt and pepper shaker. Oh, cool. There you go.
From the era of Sherlock Holmes. Your look circa 1997.
Parts of the Caribbean.
Even further back, perhaps.
an antique.
But the telescope, what did you say?
It's an antique.
It is an antique. It is an antique. But whether it's the telescope or the magnifying glass, or even the microscope, all of these are instruments to help us do what? See things more clearly, to observe, to investigate. They all depend on something. They all depend on something. What do they depend on? For them to be useful, all of them.
Use it.
Being brought.
Okay, if we're going to use them for that, then yes, we must have that faculty of sight. Very nice. What else?
Focus.
And so when you say focus, I think that you're zeroing in on something fundamental, Nick. When we say focus, what is it that we are exploring?
Well, there's two types, I guess, in this regard, because there's the focus of the magnifying glass. Or maybe not on a magnifying glass, but on that.
Right, so assuming that you have it focused, right? So I can't do this, and you know, the reason why you do this is so that you can have it focus for your purposes. And the reason we have that is so that we can, you know, gauge its distance between us and the thing we're examining so that it brings it into focus, absolutely. But if you're looking at the stars, what can we call the stars? What kind of space? Outer space. If you're looking at outer space like this, it doesn't matter that somebody goes, this is perfectly set up to see Pluto or something, and now all you got to do, if you're like this, it doesn't matter. It's worthless. In fact, it might even be worse than worthless because you might misperceive what's there and make assumptions in terms of your observations and calculations and predictions. And so too with that. Go ahead and put your, this was part of a murder.
What?
This is a crucial piece of evidence. Go ahead and see if you can detect what's there,
It's a little scratched up.
but it's shaking. You're shaking. So let's see the shaking.
It's your fingerprints.
You're shaking. You're not shaking.
Oh, do you want me to shake? I'm sorry.
My attention towards you. And how easy is it to see clearly what's going on there?
I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty magnified, but it's harder.
Yeah, will you miss something that you might otherwise not? You were so confident.
I know. I feel like it's pretty clear. You could look yourself. Like.
Yeah, but here's the challenge. You're shaking the instrument, not yourself.
Oh.
So shake yourself while you're doing that, holding it as steady as you want or shaking it the way you were. Now go back and forth. Now look.
It's a little harder.
It's a little harder. So your point is a good one. Because if we are steady, even if the instrument we're using is not perfectly precise, if we're steady, we can still gather meaningful data. Right? You can be in a room of people, a client meeting, and everyone's shaking because of the news we just got from the court about what it's going to do, even though what's yet to come is still a big unknown. And goodness knows, things take many twists and turns that can be quite fortuitous and ways that are very useful and advantageous, and sometimes certainly not. But if everybody is in there filled with obstacles that aren't being noticed and managed, it's like there's a shaking going on. In fact, people's snow globes shake other people's snow globes. But if ours can somehow remain steadier, oh, the advantage that might bring. And so too, you can imagine if you have a physician or a medical professional looking at a slide with something of yours, you want them to be focused internally. You want them to be steady. You don't want them thinking about lunch. You don't want them fretting over the conversation that they had an hour ago when they were yelled at, or they yelled at somebody, even if they're feeling bad that they yelled at somebody, so that's a nice thing, not while they're looking at the slide. But while they're looking at the slide and they're fretting over the way they were treated or the way they treated or thinking about where they're going to go for lunch or who they're going to want to have lunch with, they're looking right at the thing that matters most with an instrument that has taken hundreds and hundreds of years to refine with the precision it has to see so clearly what's going on, and they don't realize that they're not seeing it. Because if their attention is on lunch or on the conversation or thinking about what it's continually, and now we understand that. And hopefully you know that from your own experience, from what you've read about multitasking, but more importantly, from what you know from your own direct experience. So the Sherlock Holmes quality that we've been cultivating, well, today, because it's Halloween, we're exploring it a little bit more on the outside, is really a quality that we've been cultivating all along on the inside. And it would be nice if we could see that clear in other people. But we don't see that clear in other people because what we see on the outside can be very different than what's on the inside. And sometimes that's very, very useful. Children benefit when there's a current of concern, but that the caregiver isn't necessarily bleeding onto the child their concern in every respect. Because it could be confusing. But as we grow up, as the child grows up, then at some point in time, the conversation should shift. It'd be useful to provide more information. And people around us, especially as we're growing up, and we're all grown up, they don't necessarily say, oh, you know what, I was feeling very angry because of something that happened. And so what I said really wasn't very kind. And that was not, whatever it might be. And they're like, oh, it's not me. And we even understand at some level, it's not even you, because you're doing the best you can too. And then we make our way into the world and we realize it's not personal. It's never personal. If that's not clear, and I think that's a very obscure, difficult to grasp point, it's never personal. It's never personal, meaning it's never about a deficiency in you. It's never that you're not good enough. It doesn't matter what the feedback says. It doesn't matter what the actions are. By all means, sometimes get the heck out of that situation. It is about your well-being. It is about your being happy and satisfied in life. But the information and the actions, sometimes we quiver because it's something about us. But it's never that. And so if that's not clear, because I mean that not like as a nice to have, like, oh, that's a comfortable thought. Because it's also very much our responsibility to take care and take action in this world. So it's not a pass on what we do or don't do in response to what happens. But it allows us to not be confused by the information we're receiving that confuses our decision making. So, I did bring when we take a break, I did bring the limited edition pumpkin cake donuts, which, Pam said, I don't know if we would like that, but that looks pretty good. So I want to let you know that there were 6 of these. I cut them into 4 pieces each, so we've got 24 of these, more than enough for everybody to have 1 or 2, as the case may be, since not everybody's going to want one. So this I will, ooh, it smells like pumpkin, okay. So there's this. Also, we have apples, so if you like the apple, of course, more than happy to have more than one. And so today we have a variety of things on our plate. And I'm so looking forward to just so much to do, and 3 more classes next week at the Lowe, and the reading will be on, among other things, creativity, and you'll be crafting. Raise your hand if you remember haiku. Who remembers the structure of a haiku, that sort of type of poem. Do you remember the structure?
Yeah, 757.
5,
7 syllables, 5 syllables, and 7 syllables. Or
Five, seven,
maybe
five.
flipped.
5,
575.
So you will be creating your own haiku, and you will be crafting them, and there's instructions on the webpage for doing so. You'll be drawing something outside as well, so it'll be a drawing practice, and the drawing is the thing that you'll be writing your haiku about, and you'll be writing 2 more haiku. And so I look forward next week when we have our class at the Lowe that then moves into back here where creativity is a big part of it. And I'll bring a painting that some of you may have seen that I did a while ago. It's of a dog. I'll remember the dog in my office. Anybody? And the dog is sort of doing what? We'll explore that next week. Then we have the week after that. That'll be judgment and decision making. And then we have our last class, which is freedom. Who's been on vacation? You're like, on vacation? You're free. Finally have freedom. And who found yourself not so free in the vacation? And sometimes you might say, oh, I got an assignment while I was on vacation, so that's why I wasn't free. That's debatable. That's an interesting question. You have a job. It's part of the job. You're on vacation. You get information. It's part of what it is that the job is all about. But it might be that it's the obstacles that arose in the middle of that, or whatever it was, that might be the thing that you would say was not the source of being free. Thinking about this, worrying about this, getting an argument with somebody, this. And it's all really coming down to what we've been zeroing in on a lot, and what you'll be zeroing in on your paper, the obstacles. And today there's going to be an important, I think, insight's a good word for it, where we're going to move from obstacle, and we're going to move it one. So we've got from challenge to obstacle, right? Hopefully you all get that now. You think it's that, I'm upset, my decision making was thrown off, I didn't do what I wanted to do, I upset that person because of this life happening. And hopefully by now we're realizing actually we're pointing our finger in the wrong direction. This is relevant to why it is, but this is causally. And this may or may not lead to the outcome that we're begrudging or regretting or whatever it is. But this was where it is that all the action resided. And hopefully that's clear to you. If it's not clear to you, see me, because this is sort of like fundamental to our whole class endeavor, this pivot. There's a story of did I ever say the story of the king and his daughter in the village a long time ago? And she hurt herself. She cut her foot while on a rock while playing in the kingdom. So there's this story. It's a nice story, interesting, of a king. By all means, could be a queen, daughter, could be a son. It doesn't matter. So there's this monarch in this village a long time ago, long time ago. Child out playing, cuts their foot, starts to bleed, starts to cry, brought home, really, really upset, in pain. Monarch, caring very much about their child, says, I don't ever want this to happen again. I don't ever want my child to suffer again. And brings together the wise people. So how are we going to fix this? And the suggestion is made, and the monarch embraces, yes, that's exactly what we'll do. We will cover the entire kingdom in leather. Every rock, everything, so that no matter what it is that might be run across and run on top of, it will have this protective piece to shield my child from any pain and discomfort. And then one of the wise people, they all look a bit like you, said, wait a minute, I have another suggestion. It'll totally do the same thing. It's a little more efficient. It's a little more economical. And what do you think that was?
Getting rid of the rocks.
The child wearing shoes.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That's focusing on the challenge rocks. That would be good if it were feasible, doable, practical, and if we'd actually want to get rid of rocks. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I love seeing rocks.
The child wearing shoes.
Let's put, but they didn't have shoes back then, so that wasn't what they said.
After a couple times, the child's just gonna learn not to step on those things.
See, the thing that's really helpful about what you just said, Ethan, is that, yeah, maybe that could be helpful for that rock in that place the next time the child gets near that rock in that place. But there are rocks everywhere. And we want to run and play, and it's very hard to know when we're going to run into another one. So that could work. And we could even say, well, let's keep an eye out for sharp rocks, so it has some transferability. But the things we stumble over and the pain that we'll experience in life is not reserved for any one particular challenge, type of challenge. I think you said something.
Oh, I just said put leather on his feet.
Leather on the feet, which is,
It's like a shoe.
it's like a shoe. It became the shoe. But there was no shoe
The
back then.
origin story of a
It's
shoe.
the origin story of shoe. You wanna say something, Devin?
Bring in more rocks so the kid becomes an expert in dealing with rocks.
Import a bunch of rocks.
Okay, but where does that, based on the conversation of a few moments ago, where does that fall short? Because you're right, you could sort of solve that particular challenge. But what's going to happen in a week or a day or a month when the child comes running in again? What's going to be that one?
Well, they'll learn how to deal with the challenge and the obstacles.
No. I'm shaking as I'm saying that. I'm so like feeling this. So let's you and I have a little conversation, shall we? Is the rocks, the sharp rock, the challenge or the obstacle?
The challenge.
Why isn't it the obstacle? I mean, it seems like an obstacle. So is it a challenge or an obstacle?
It's a challenge, right?
I'm asking you.
I mean, it could be an obstacle, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I said it was a challenge.
Yeah, but you weren't sure.
Yeah.
You want to be sure, because this is not easy. But let's take it one step further. You said, well, let's come up with a whole bunch of rocks, right? This was your solution? Right. And then you made a comment that had something to do with, that would take care of the challenges and the obstacles. What's the obstacle?
Thoughts and the feelings and the sensations that arise from the rock.
From the rock?
How you interpret the rock.
Okay, we'll go with that. From tripping on the rock, cutting oneself, looking down, and feeling whatever it is that child felt, and whatever it is that the parent felt, because it did lead to a bit of an overreaction, didn't it? So maybe the monarch was also experiencing their own obstacles. Child fell, hurt themselves on a rock, and all of a sudden there's this grand solution. So how is having more rocks? I love your idea. Don't get me wrong. It's parsimonious. Occam's razor is satisfied by just saying have some more rocks. I don't know if it's as satisfied as Carolina's evolutionarily leaping forward years and Elizabeth's sort of tracking it where it is, both saying the same thing. I'm not sure it's more parsimonious than that solution, but how is this going to address the obstacles? Because if it could address the obstacles, then I'd be 100% with you.
Because she'll have less obstacles arise in the future if she's so used to the challenges.
Okay, this is the challenge of having a rock in front of you. Okay, how does that translate to the challenge of having somebody break up with you? How does that translate to the challenge of not getting the job? it's a rock. It's getting cut. Now you know to step over them. Your solution was, I think, in part, have lots of rocks so they get really used to it. They know how to navigate it. I agree completely. How will that translate into... I've had tens of thousands of moments of pain and suffering in my life, and most of them are not like the other. There are certainly categories that will come about again and again. How does that address those? Because I love what you're suggesting. Just get more rocks. It's so straightforward. It's so easy. It's so easy. Just get more rocks. There's no work to do other than getting used to more rocks. I love that.
Oftentimes the challenge might be different, but the obstacles are the same or similar.
Okay. So, what is Elizabeth's suggestion offer that might add something to what you're speaking to, which is really what it's all about? You're absolutely right.
Yeah. She's maybe trying to protect yourself from the challenge instead of face it head on. Like you're protecting your feet, but you're protecting yourself from the challenge.
And what does that do for you for the rest of, what does that do for you wherever you go? Is it based on that one little area of the kingdom that had those particular rocks? Or is it more than that?
I guess it's more than that.
In what ways? Where are they going to get cut by a rock?
Like anywhere.
But they're wearing leather.
Yeah.
So are they going to get cut by a rock?
No.
Right. Something is gained that follows you wherever you go. So yes, I think you're right. We want to be attentive to what we can do to address the challenge pragmatically. I agree with that. But oftentimes that will only get us so far. Once we navigate away from that particular circumstance, we're maybe not as likely to realize and catch the other circumstance that comes along. But the problem, what's a rock? Anybody, what's a rock that we have, and certainly Devin, please, what's a rock that we experience that we can stumble over that can be a source of agitation or distress of any sort?
Me?
Well, I'm looking at Devin because Devin's making such a good point, and I feel like I'm like being harsh, and I'm not trying to be harsh. So if that's the case, I'll try to address my obstacles, and I'll leave you to yours. But what is an example of a rock that we law students encounter as we move into our professional lives? We all have this rock. How we are affected by it, that's a different story. But we all have this rock. What's an example of a rock that's a challenging circumstance?
Like it could be anything, any like professionally, somebody asks you to do a task or something, that could be a rock for you.
Okay, well, if somebody asks you to do a task, and can you add a little bit to make it to give it a little more beat?
You'll say you're very busy, and someone puts more work on your table. That's a rock.
Okay, great. That's a rock. And what's another one? Somebody had their hand over here.
I was going to say job search.
Okay, and that's general. So
yeah, I was good.
So
So
give
with
us
job
specific,
search, would the rock
Devin
be
gave us a very specific example. You're working, and you get a whole bunch more work.
not getting a job that you thought you were going to?
Okay, so you
Or
applied for a
wish-
job, you're waiting for it, you get the news, you're told you didn't get the job, right? Okay. Now, there's a variety of emotions that one might feel, but might you feel frustrated if you thought you were going to get the job, you were hoping to get the job, you didn't get the job? Might you feel frustrated?
Sure. Yeah.
And you've got this work to do, and they give you more work. And just as you were sort of on, I'm going to get this done, I feel good, and I've got these plans, and and then boom, there's more. Might you feel frustrated?
Yes.
Okay. So we can figure out how to say, thank you very much for trusting me with this, but I have a project that I'm working on that so-and-so gave me, and I'll totally happy to prioritize and reprioritize. I just wanted to let you know I have this. Is that timeline of tonight at 7 necessary? And I'll figure it out. Or might there be a little more movement? So we could learn how to manage the rock. or somehow just have it come upon us as a solution, because you're very smart, and solutions come to you. But that's not going to necessarily work so well when it's like, hi, I got your letter. But you know, I have another assignment that I've been working on, and I'd like to get to it. Like, it doesn't work. So where does the obstacle and doing something that in some ways addresses the obstacle have a transferable advantage? And here it's frustration, and frustration are the what? They're obstacles. Now there could be more. There could be sadness and self-doubt, and there could be anger and resentment. I mean, there could be lots of emotions that emerge that are different in these situations, but we've identified two that are somewhat similar. So frustration is to some extent because to cut your foot and bleed is part of life. That's pain. Oh my God, why did this happen? I can't believe this happened. This isn't supposed to happen. I'm so-and-so's the head of this whole thing. They should be taking care of me. This isn't supposed to happen. What is that? Those are obstacles, right? That's resisting what we're experiencing. So if we can learn to work with frustration, the obstacle, yes, let us find ways of addressing the challenge, but let us understand that it's a somewhat limited and narrow advantage. And it sort of depends on the next challenging situation being somewhat similar to this challenging situation, right? So if you have that ability and comfort in saying something to a partner, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, I'm just saying sometimes that actually can be quite useful. They, of course, might say, no, this is more important. Tell that person you can't do it, you're working on this, and then you navigate that. And that's fine, you can navigate that too. You can address the obstacle. And today we're going to talk about how the obstacle actually, so we've moved from challenges to obstacles. Our focus on it's this thing, it's that extra work, it's the fact that I didn't get the job, to, oh, it's frustration, it's doubt, it's anger, it's resentment, it's frustration. This is the source of this is what's really getting in the way. The other I sort of can't control to some extent. This one I actually might be able to. And today we'll move from challenges to obstacles to something else. Anybody want to take a guess of what this one is? Overcoming. I like that. Overcoming. Oh, I heard it. What did somebody say?
I said thanks.
Oh, thanks. Right. So if we look at our mindful living flow, and life happens, which is like this. Thank you, Devin. Life happens, which is this. And you know where this sort of goes to. We've got a little bit of this, it registers, we've got a little bit of this. We resist or not, and then we've got to respond skillfully or to overreact less skillfully. If we were a robot getting information on the job, or if we were a robot being given more work, life would happen and we would respond skillfully, meaning however we've been programmed. If we were a robot, however we've been programmed, you know, how to parallel process multiple assignments, how to shift gears, how to quickly prioritize, you know, however well we've been advised in doing that, or did not get job, send out more, we would respond as skillfully as we could. Do we get that? We're a robot. But fortunately, we're not robots. But in some ways, it would be nice to be a little bit, maybe less encumbered by something that humans are encumbered by, but robots aren't. Because what do robots, would the robot experience the challenge?
No. Yes.
Why do you say no? Would robots experience the challenge? Being given more work, having a rock in front of them as they're going through the...
Yes.
Yeah, robots would experience the challenge. What would robots not experience? Okay. But what are these obstacles? What are the emotions? Just sort of generate. What are some of the emotions that are the source of obstacles? They are frustration, anger, sadness, fear, embarrassment, anxiety, despair,
Self-doubt.
annoyance,
Self-doubt.
self-doubt. Over here, sadness. What are the obstacles? Worry.
Could positive emotions be an obstacle?
100%. As much. No difference. So what do we say?
Happiness.
Happiness, excitement. You ever have it where you're so excited you forget about something?
Mhm.
You ever have it where you're so excited you make a decision to do something in the direction of the excitement and you forget that you told somebody something, or you realize at the end of the day when you come back, oh, I got so excited that, or you're so excited that you're expecting something and then when it doesn't happen, excitement, happiness. What else?
Elation.
Elation. Despair and elation, both, will have their impact. Of course, is one more pleasant than the other? This is why we say the obstacles can register pleasant or unpleasant. We never say the obstacles only register unpleasant, the challenges only register unpleasant. They can be pleasant, unpleasant, and most of the time, they're neutral or relatively neutral. Car pulls in front of you. Most of the time, if you're not in a hurry and blah, 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 something happens, life happens, barely even registers, right? And as a result, there's not a lot of resistance because it barely even registers, and we tend to, get in the next lane and go ahead or whatever it might be. What are some of the other emotions?
Feel overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, sense of overwhelm. What else?
I mean, you're so euphoric, you make a promise that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And that feels good in the moment, and it pleases somebody probably in the moment. It's a win-win for a while. Right? And then you have a new challenge, which is you realize you got to say, oh, I can't. Right? And then you've got the challenge of telling somebody you can't when you told them that you could. And that's a challenging situation also. Because then you can feel what? Anxiety. Having to raise this with them? Guilt. What else? Embarrassment. Right? You have another one, Alexa? Regret. Okay, absolutely. But if we were a robot, and we were like, we said, oh, yes, I can't wait, and I'll definitely do that for you. Like, we're not the robot at that moment. But then we become the robot, right? Then we would say, got to call the person and tell them I can't do it. Hi, can't do it. Okay? So that would be the robot that doesn't communicate as effectively, but if their programming was, hi, I know I promised you that I would do that, and I really wanted to do that. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I just realized that I had previously made that commitment, and if I don't follow through on that commitment, I did reach out to that person to ask. I shared with them my dilemma, but if I don't do that, I'm going to possibly lose this, or I'm going to spend the weekend extremely anxious about that and or overwhelmed. Can we find a way to, and the person might say, thanks for telling me, absolutely. And the person might say, F you. But at least we responded skillfully and made decisions that balance these interests in a way that is useful. So nothing we're exploring is about making everything go away. It's not a panacea for ourselves or for others. And the life happening continues to happen, because then you call the person and you say it as effectively as you can, as kindly as you can, but then it gets then that becomes their life happening moment. I was so excited, and then they called me and they told me no. Then their snow globe shakes, their spiral spins, they begin to resist, and then they act in a way that's not so skillful. And then they're acting in a way that's not so skillful becomes your life happening. and then it continues on. So if we're able to attend to this, it helps us, because all of a sudden we become more skillful with self-doubt. We become more skillful with frustration. We become more skillful with regret. We become more skillful with guilt. We become more skillful when these begin to emerge, because they can emerge across a lot of challenging situations. In fact, we probably have our own 2 or 3 that pop up more for us, because it's just sort of who we are. Some people are like, why would you feel guilty about that? I'd be like, I just feel really guilty about that. I'd be like, why are you anxious about that? I just feel really anxious about that. And so what gets some of us doesn't get others of us, and what doesn't get others of us gets others, just, we're all different in this way. But these are shared human qualities, and they will continue. If anger just hit me once, I wouldn't spend so much time figuring out how I'm going to work with anger, because it's not going to hit me again, but it's going to keep hitting me. But it's not something how anger just it's something happens, and then I feel anger. Part of this, which we will come back to, is if you can see where it is on the landscape, then you are more aware that it's arising. Oh, anger. And it affects us less, even though it's still there, and even though the conditions that brought it about haven't changed. There was a question over here first. Yes.
I think I answered it though. So when you're saying with time and practice, you can respond more skillfully. So that is the goal at all, to try to, I guess, change your obstacle? It's just really just recovery that you're trying to more skillfully respond
What's
to.
that word?
Or not recovery, sorry. It's the response that you are working towards, because you can't control the obstacle at all.
Once you're aware of the obstacle, things change.
Okay.
To be aware of the obstacle is to have things change.
Mm-hmm.
But being aware of the obstacle isn't necessarily enough, which is why we're moving into what we do with the obstacle and how we can relate to it. But say it again, your question, because I felt there were a couple of really important things in there. Is the objective to...
Okay. So is the objective to, after the obstacle, to respond more skillfully?
Do you want to respond skillfully in life?
Yes.
Okay, so that's just a given going into it. We're not constructing that as a paradigm that we inspire.
Okay.
We want to respond skillfully, right? We're all interested, I would imagine, we're all interested in this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially when we have our, we're all, as a general rule, most of the time interested in having this right as high as it possibly can.
So then is another goal also to be able to maybe lessen the obstacle, or be able to change or impact, change the obstacle at all?
So I'm going to add on to what you say. We're not going to be able to do much to the challenges. They're going to continue. Life is going to still continue with challenges. And if you wanted to aspire to more and more accomplishments, and more achievements, and more possibilities, you're going to meet more and more and less before experienced challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be able to have challenges. We want to take on life. We want to be here for the assignments and the opportunities. And we want to be able to do this. And a big part of our class has been really every practice we've done, every exercise, every practice, and most of the readings and conversations have been about seeing this more clearly. Appreciating, seeing it, because the challenge isn't that it's here, it's that we don't,
We're not aware
it just
of
grabs us. We're not aware of it. And so awareness of it becomes a big opportunity. And that's where this comes in. Because in many ways, this is a measure of resistance, which arguably the robot does not do. So now we're putting a wedge of human beingness in this calculation. Life happens, we've got challenges, and there's a response that's going to emerge from us, one way or the other. It could be what we say, what we do. It's in some way a decision that's being made as to how we respond to it, in action, in deed, in words, in inaction, in silence. But oops, we run through this. Right? And in many ways, it's like a prism. I don't know how a prism works. It's like a prism, right? And it refracts. So all of a sudden we've got our thing and it hits here and boom, it starts to sort of shift it downward, right? It comes in here, we're all different, so whatever our level of resistance, but as long as there's some resistance, it's going to have some impact on where it might have gone to this. Does that make a little sense? And these are our opportunities, right? Because from what we're saying, okay, and this is because of, according to art class and our exploration, we could look at this from a lot of different, directions. This is a product of what? What is this? Interference, a product of,
Our thoughts, feelings, sensations.
which are obstacles, right? The question is, if we're heading up in this direction, were we a robot? But then we have our internal thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise as obstacles that then lead to what is that happening because of? And the downward implications are not because of mindfulness practices. In fact, you're pointing to where we're going in terms of what mindfulness practices offer us potentially. But do you get this? Why'd you say mindfulness practices?
Because mindfulness practices help us with our obstacles.
Okay, very nice. So if we see that this is all very much obstacle driven, we've spent a bit of time looking at the mindfulness practices, as Lily reminds us, to allow less of this, to allow more. It may not be as profound as it would be if there was zero impact, but it has this effect. And part of what we've been exploring in our meetings, what we've been exploring, what we've written, what we've been exploring in class is how the mindfulness practices somehow have this effect. And in one way, it has this effect, is that this prism, and maybe a prism isn't the right analogy here, because I guess a prism just does this as a matter of course. I guess it does this because of the frequency coming in. But just to take this, the mindfulness practices create a clarity here so that it's less impacted by the obstacles. Next week, in a couple weeks, you'll be reading in the chapter on freedom about a tiger named Mohini. Mohini, I think, was a great white, powerful Bengal tiger from, I think, India, brought over to the US in the 1960s, brought to the Washington, D.C. Zoo, whatever it was called. And there's this great, oh my God, we got one of the great white Bengals, and put into a cement floor, barred type of enclosure, I don't think much bigger than this, for years. Mohini did this. For years. Sort of put in jail, right? Put behind bars. A very understandable obstacle to freedom, we could say, in a certain sense. And then they decided one day, let us change Mohini's life. We've got the funding or whatever it was. Let us create a vast area. We're going to let Mohini out, so Mohini can now be in nature in a habitat very similar to what Mohini grew up with. And so they did. And they released Mohini. And for the rest of Mohini's life, as I've heard this story told, with all of this space, Mohini did this. The bars were removed, but the obstacle remained. Now, it's a very sad story to me. It's a very touching story. It might be somewhat apocryphal, but I think that that's fairly accurate. And I can't intuit the mind of a tiger, but we can draw perhaps from that. There's a philosopher and mystic named Gurdjieff who said something along the lines of, we go through life and we've got these bars, we're in this cell, we've got these bars, these limitations, these constraints. And maybe at some point we realize there's nothing there. The door was never locked. There wasn't even a door. Now, clearly, we've got challenges. We've got things to deal with. We've got cases, we've got matters, we've got injustices. We've got financial and security and other concerns that we have to want to address. Clearly, life is filled with the challenges of life happening. But in many ways, this is a product of a sense of narrowed perspective and opportunities and realizations of what's right in front of us and what's right within us to see it clearly. And even though these aren't necessarily going to, well, even though we might realize in time, frustration, anger, disappointment, wanting to please. They're not, well, a wonderful teacher, Ram Dass, sort of likens it to tea and inviting a friend to tea. Somebody said to me, you've been practicing meditation and mindfulness of all sorts. Like he was a real seeker and a really smart guy with a strong psychology foundation at Harvard, who left Harvard to sort of explore freedom. He was very interested in freedom because he had all the money he needed. He had an airplane. He had like all this credibility. He had all these publications. He was at Harvard, my goodness. And he was still like, my God, you think with all of this. And it was still somehow something was missing. He was like, I've got everything I wanted. What is missing? And in many ways, at least one place that's useful to look, or at least useful to sort of clear out as much as possible, because there could be lots of other things going on, is some obstacle, a feeling of what? What's a feeling that what's an obstacle, a thought that you might have that could get in the way, even though you've got everything, or pretty much everything you could want? How could a person be, and how could a person sort of seem to have it all and still be like, waking up in the morning going, and then maybe taking action and doing things that are just not necessary, not going to get them what they want anyway? What's a persistent thought that a person might have that even though they have all the money in the world, they want more?
It's not enough.
Hmm?
It's not enough.
This isn't enough. This isn't as much as that person. Those thoughts, those beliefs, and I'm not telling you what your thoughts and your beliefs should be, and I'm all for you having billionaires. Like, be billionaires, make all the money you can possibly make, because I expect that you'll help the world and do good and have a more comfortable life, maybe. But we sort of know that if we still have that thought and that comparing mind, it's not the money, it's the house or the car or the job or the vacations we take, or it's not, these things are all nice. They're more rocks that we put around to make a nicer, there are more things that we bring into the jail cell to make the jail cell a more comfortable place. But we're still, yeah?
Two things. Hopefully I can remember both of them. First, I feel like the jail cell thing, like another good example, like that I've thought about it as is like you're drowning in a foot of water and you're so like caught up in the drowning that you don't realize you could just stand up. And
That's really nice.
yeah, and I've also thought about it as like you're in like a jail cell, but the bars are 5 feet apart. But like you look and you're like, I'm in a jail cell, and you like freak out and you keep yourself there forever, even though you could just walk out.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that I wanted to say.
For a moment?
Yes.
Okay, remind yourself of the second thing, you don't
Write it
forget
down.
it.
I think I'll.
Okay.
I should write it down.
So what are some examples you can give? These are nice little metaphors. Some building on, what might you add to that? Because in many ways, you're talking about seeing things more clearly. Oh, there's just a foot of water. Oh, I didn't realize that a moment ago. Oh, I see the bars, and I have this belief about bars getting in the way, but I realize I could actually walk through it if I saw more clearly, maybe even investigated my own doubt or fear or whatever it might be. What are some other metaphors, colorful metaphors you might come up with, analogies?
There's one that like my dad always told me that like there's like a monkey in a cage and there's a banana right there and he's trying to grab the banana and he doesn't realize like he can't get the banana through, but all he has to do is let go.
Yes.
And it's like that feeling that we hold on to.
Okay, that I love that. I'm gonna comment on that. But the banana's still outside, and he's still inside.
Yeah, but all he has to do is turn it.
Turn what?
The banana.
Okay.
And he's just going like that.
Yes, very, very nice. And so what is that? That's brilliant. So what is that? I have nothing to add. What is that pivot? I thought you said drop the banana. So let go.
I meant like pivot, like turn it, like yeah,
Yeah, right?
and
But
just
if-
pull it in.
if
But
we're-
he just keeps on going like that.
Correct. And what does this the first time might lead to what emotion?
Frustration.
Frustration. So what is this? Ongoing frustration. What is this? Not a frustrated act, but one that's patently obvious. Very nice. That's great. Good for your dad. Good for you. Tell him what Scott said.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
I have one that's not really a metaphor. It's like an actual scientific study. But they did this study with like, I think it was fleas, and they put them in a jar. And so they normally can jump like, I don't know, like 40 inches, like 40 feet, I don't know. They can jump high. And then they put them in the jar. And after a few days, they stop trying to beat the lid. And they can only jump to the height of the lid. And then they'll take them out of the jar and they can still only jump to that height. And then they breed them and their offspring can only jump to that height.
So that's a real double wallow, right? It's interesting. Epigenetics sort of playing a role there, and sort of self-limiting beliefs, even among the fleas among us. And that reminds me of the learned helplessness studies that some of you may remember from psychology, where the dog was put into a cage and then it was shocked and it would go over here and then it was shocked and then at some point it just couldn't escape the shock and then they just turned off the shock over there, but it just stopped trying. Like learned helplessness, which in some ways is so yeah, even with fleas, or especially with fleas, maybe fleas have much less capacity to figure that one out. In fact, who do you think's more likely to figure out the obstacle, sort through it, find some degree of relief and freedom, the flea or the human being? Huh?
Depends on the day.
It does depend on the day. What we do, this is because we're not robots, and perhaps the flea is a little bit. I mean, I can't speak to the target, I can't speak to the flea. So Ram Dass said he's been practicing all sorts of things to try and find freedom from this neurosis. That would be the language he used back in the 70s and 80s. We still use it today. But this like, I've got, why isn't I just still? And he said, it's like, I've been practicing for all these years, but the anger and the doubt and the comparison and the resentment and the fear and the critical self-limiting beliefs, they are still there. They still keep coming in to my life. But he says, now I say, sit down and have some tea. Let's have some tea. And he sort of welcomes them. He's not resisting them. Remember, this is all about resistance. This is the product of resisting the obstacle. It's not the obstacle. It's the resisting the obstacle. That's what keeps it going. If we could stop the resisting, if we could let go or turn the banana, it's a different story. So to your question, yes, we are working with the obstacles. So ask your question again one more time, exact same question if you remember it.
Is the goal to, like with practice, to change or alter the obstacle at all?
Right. So I created this landscape of the mind, and after 35 years, I still experience all of these obstacles. Ram Dass was saying, his name was Richard Alpert, he said, after all these years, I still experience all of these obstacles. But he relates to them differently. Mm-hmm. And I'm suggesting, see them. There I am. In the cul-de-sac of caught, there I am. That's jealousy. There's an impulse. There's fear. There's doubt. See it as a crucial step in freeing ourselves from it. So yes, I think I would say I don't like saying it's an objective because I don't think we have any control over it. The obstacle will emerge and we will act or whatever. But what happens in between, the lifespan, the half-life of this obstacle, the intensity of its impact on us, that can change immensely. And so yes, on the one hand, if we're looking at it from that perspective, we want that to change. But we can't directly change it. So that's the part where you say, do we want to change it? Yes, we'd like to be less impacted by it. But once it comes along, the mindfulness invitation is, can I observe, see it, and work with it more skillfully? But that doesn't mean making it go away. The making it go away is just more resistance.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yes, like the goal is to build up our resistance to the obstacle. Well,
The goal is to not build up our resistance, but this is where language just gets confusing.
okay.
I don't disagree that what you're saying, I would agree with. How might we say it in a language that's a little bit more in alignment with the classroom?
It's developing our awareness and our relationship to the obstacle.
Good. That's what it is. And today we'll talk about something that we've been talking about all along, which can lead to overcoming, because you're talking about overcoming the obstacle, right? But the path to overcoming it is another O that we'll address. All right. So first of all, who else brought? What did you bring to this room as it relates to Sherlock Holmes? Oh, but you did, my friend.
My curiosity.
You stole my answer.
You don't. It's no longer valid for you.
I brought her curiosity as well.
Isn't it funny you stole my answer? That's an obstacle-driven response. Disappointment. So say it. I'm with you. I
Curiosity.
Love it. Yes.
Curiosity.
Oh my God.
Mine.
Sam, what'd you bring to?
And this.
And what does this help us do on the inside?
See more clearly.
See more clearly.
Curiosity.
Nice.
Keep it going, guys.
Synonyms.
You all,
Yeah, right?
We clearly didn't get his creativity.
Because curiosity, we do want the pathologist looking at the specimen. We do want them to be curious. I wonder what's there. Because they've looked at 10,000 of them. So they have a lot of expertise, but it's just another one. It's very easy to habituate, to stop really paying attention. When you get home or you park your car or whatever it is, you probably stop paying so much attention getting into your house or whatever it is. Because you've done it a million times, it's wired in, you feel safe, you're not concerned. And the brain just sort of goes, I don't need to pay as much attention. This happens when we get overwhelmed. This happens even when we're not, but we are doing it over and over and over. So what does curiosity get the medical professional looking at the sample of blood or the skin or the biopsy, whatever?
Discoveries, like results.
Because the curiosity, that's the outcome, good. But what is the curiosity? What's it? What else? What does curiosity allow for?
Allows room in his mind to actually make the discovery.
Motivation.
Room in his
Yeah,
mind.
like motivation.
Room in his mind is won't serve you well on your paper. Room in your mind, right?
Too vague.
But what you're speaking to, I think, is worthy of consideration and paperness. What does room in the mind mean? Okay, I'm curious, so I've got more room in my mind. So curious, we can sort of understand. Even if it's just a word that's describing something. What does the room in the mind point to? I'm asking.
The room in the mind points to, I'm at a loss, I don't know.
Oh, dang. Scott sits in front of you, you know you're in.
I know.
No, I think this is look, we've got 3 weeks left. I'm interested in us not passing over something. At least not prematurely. Or at all. I thought that the various conversations that we've zeroed in on, Carrie, Evan, have been hugely important and hopefully clarifying. If you have a case in front of you that you just found, and you're pretty sure it's not, somebody gives it to you. They go, here's a case that might be helpful for your motion, for your argument. And you are pretty sure that they don't know what they're talking about, but you'll read through it. Or a Supreme Court justice who you just met says, oh, that's really interesting. I happen to have this case that I think might be relevant. And you're getting the same case from two different sources. Mm-hmm. What might be a difference in how you attend to that case?
The amount of attention you put to it.
Okay, so if you're curious, what might shift?
Your attention?
Yeah, very, very nice. And if your attention is a little bit more, then we might have more room in our mind. Okay, very, very nice. You said motivation. Did you have something else to add, or would you just let?
Well, I think with, like you're saying with a case, right, sometimes you feel like, oh, this is a problem that I want to solve, and you would feel more motivated and inspired to take more action to go ahead and try to solve that problem.
Yes. And importantly, the curiosity, the motivation, the inspiration, that's inside of you. It's not the Supreme Court justice, it's not the friend, it's not the case. It's inside of you. At what level is it flourishing? And if you went through every moment of your life like, oh my God, I'm so curious about this, I'm so curious about this, I'm so curious about this, you might get in the way. So we want to be able to regulate and apply different degrees. We want to sort of have our hands on the ship, the switch. So what would be, for you, answers the first question?
Can you repeat the first question?
What did you bring?
Brought a bag of candy for everyone if they want to.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't know if that counts as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, it does.
He brought a lot of things to the table.
That's his evidence that he found.
Does it count as Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why does it count as Sherlock Holmes?
Because he's
Because it's thoughtful, yeah.
Thoughtfulness. What else?
Because he's
It's Sherlock Holmes.
I know you're on the social.com right now.
What else? Because we like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, it's Halloween. You have to have some candy.
Now, today's, I spent a little more time on our beginning of class than I was expecting. I hope some of you found it to be useful. If we don't get to this, is it mine?
You can take it, or the other students can take individual pieces.
suddenly not very Sherlock Holmes.
That's what I thought.
You got this.
Turning around.
Yeah.
Ah, you see? I was doing this.
Monkey.
Pivot.
Monkey pivot. We got the Milky Way. And where do we find the Milky Way?
CVS.
Outer system.
Ooh.
That was good.
The Milky Way is found in what? In outer
Space.
Where are obstacles found?
Everywhere.
In inner space.
In inner space. We're exploring inner space. We've got the M&Ms, we've got the Snickers, we've got the Milky Way. PJ, the apple's not looking so hot right now.
I'll still take a piece of an apple.
Healthy and the unhealthy.
Which one's the healthy?
Yeah.
The chocolate's healthy for your mind. The soul.
But are a couple of M&Ms really unhealthy?
No.
No, I think this is
And
the
there's
one.
peanuts
this
in
is
it.
the one day a year where it's like.
If you have the peanuts.
Unless you have an apple. What'd you say?
I said this is the one day a year where it's like socially acceptable to have a lot of.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good
It's also healthy for me.
So what does socially acceptable point to? If something is socially
Sounds like a bunch of
unacceptable,
cat.
by and large,
Oh, it's
the quality
true.
is
I don't know.
It's like a lot of
What if you
What did you bring regarding our Sherlock Holmes
Attentiveness.
endeavor?
Attentiveness.
Attentiveness.
Very nice.
Intuition.
And you did, because one of the first responses to one of the first questions
Thank
you, my friend. What'd you bring?
Intuition.
Intuition.
Very nice.
Just like Sherlock.
So keep an eye on the tie, my friend.
Love a jacket, but also desire to learn.
Desire to learn. And you said something about doing your you're running, because you're an athlete and you're a runner, and you're preparing for a half marathon, and you were listening to an app that was guiding you through a run, but it wasn't just a run, it was a
focus attention run.
was a
The Nike one? Yeah.
It was a focus attention run, which is front and center in our reading today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if there's mindful sitting and mindful movement and mindful walking, clearly there's mindful running. And so we'll talk more about that. And next week I'm going to bring portions of an article that I and some colleagues have written on mindfulness and performance. And it speaks to helping to clarify for a lot of sports psychologists and performance enhancement experts where mindfulness practice falls in. Because some consider it another technique, and it can be, but it might be something much more fundamental to that. So we'll talk more about that. What did you bring?
My tenacity.
Your tenacity. There is tenacity. So you've got the tenacity on the inside, and you've got the sticky.
Yeah, that's sticky, right?
Magnifying
You know, like
glass.
when I think when you hold it for too long, I think my mom was in a dark place.
What obstacles are you experiencing right now?
Lack of attentiveness.
Yeah, you're very quick with the answers. That's not
I
an
can give you
obstacle.
some of mine. Patience.
Patience. Okay, good.
No, just coffee today.
Hey, you have to be patient. If your mom's looking at numbers under there, and she's gathering information, I guess it's to see more clearly things that might be.
She grabbed an M&M.
This was
Sale.
She grabbed an M&M. And she like flashed them.
Give her all.
For them all, I want one. Yeah, I kind of put it in M&M.
You should hide them.
Put them on her chair.
patience. Very, very. Who feels they could develop a little more patience? Would serve them well. What is an obstacle? So here it is. You've got some challenge, and the thing that would be most useful, reading a book by Agatha Christie now called The Third Girl. And in the book, you like Agatha Christie?
I love Agatha Christie.
Really? Next week I'll bring you my autographed letter of Agatha Christie.
No, wait,
you have that other?
Wait, how?
Oh yeah,
Did you get it at an auction or something?
she gave it to me.
You knew Agatha Christie?
No, I was like 7 when she died.
Oh, how'd you get this?
That means a story time.
Did she write? And then there
So
was.
I'll bring it.
I'm dying to know.
Oh, I can't wait to bring it. Send me an email to remind me. I don't want to forget. It's like the prize, one of the prizes. I love Agatha Christie. So I'm reading The Third Girl,
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
and Poirot. Do you all know Poirot, the archetypal detective in the Agatha Christie series? And Poirot is trying to figure this out, gathering what? Clues and data, and taking it in and asking questions, but really just trying to gather the data. And this sort of counterpart that's in some of these stories is this woman who's a detective writer of like flimsy, flaky little detective stories called Adriat. She has a name that's Adriat. She's a detective story writer. And she's like the foil because she is saying, well, she's saying, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And he's saying, we need to pause, we need to assess, we need to reflect. And she does not want to reflect, she just wants to, she's excited, she wants to solve the problem. So we could use a little patience. But what gets in the middle of patience? What allows it? It's a quality you have. It asks nothing of us. I mean, what it asks of our mind to penetrate and see clearly what's taking place. It asks a lot of us cognitively, but it asks not a lot in terms of just sitting there. So what is it that gets in the way of patience unfolding in ways that might be helpful when we're reading a case or when we're hearing a question that's been asked to us or when we're formulating a response? What gets in the way? Obstacles. Very nice. And what are some of those obstacles? What's an example where you wish you had more patience in law school or in the work you're doing?
Anxiety.
Well, anxiety is sort of a general scenario, but what would be
Reading.
Rushed, or you have
well, feeling rushed.
coming up.
Feeling rushed is the. Feeling rushed is.
Okay, I did.
Okay, but we all voted.
What's going on here?
Happy Halloween.
You have to tie this experiment to mindfulness. What does this mean? There's only one right answer.
So just so you
I'm
know,
experiencing some obstacles.
This is a test.
Sam, I'll send you a voucher.
M. What is that so close to?
No, this is for Sam.
Sam?
Turn these little squiggles around.
Monkey.
That's the banana.
Monkey did it.
So we've decided that you're in charge of distributing a little bit later on to those who want. And it'll be a mindfulness practice, a focused attention practice, because we don't have Ellie here today. Although Trent did a pretty good job. So you'll go around and you'll ask, do you want an M&M or not? And the person will say yes, that's equivalent to like give me a spritz, or no, it's the same thing.
Right.
Pumpkin spice.
And it's with the M&Ms. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it adds a whole nother interpersonal element of
I know.
lots of things.
So funny. What happened while I was gone?
So what gets in the way of patience? William said anxiety, William said feeling rushed. What's an example? What is a challenge where you might find yourself like anybody else, but feeling rushed begins to arise in you that can complicate getting the work done that you want to get done?
I have a big project and the deadline is approaching a lot quicker than I thought. Or like it
Okay,
used
well,
to be a long time
emerging
ago.
a lot
It's
quick,
like,
huh?
got 2
Or what?
days.
What?
If it's like in 2 days.
Okay, so you have a big project in 2 days.
And
You have a big, okay, you're throwing all these obstacles into it. It's coming faster than I would like. That's an obstacle, that's a perception. Like this is happening faster than I would like. It's, what's the last thing you just said?
feeling behind.
Feeling behind. That's an obstacle, right? That's a feeling. I'm behind. It's a thought. It's a feeling of whatever. So these are great examples. So you have an assignment that's due in 2 days, and then what is it that leads to the feeling of, and patience would serve you well. We all agree that if you have an assignment that's due in 2 days, and you've pretty much cleared away things to be able to work on it, well, you've got 2 days to do it. You don't have 2.5. You don't have 2 days and a minute. You've got 2 days. You're going to either maximize the 2 days that you've got, whatever that looks like, or you're going to have something get in the way. But you got 2 days. That's as good as it's ever going to get. You know, unless you get an extension of time. Unless you get an extension of time. Oh, William, thank you so
I
much.
think patience is important there because you can respond effectively. It's like less resistance.
You can respond effectively as less resistance.
Are you gonna tell us when this paper's due?
Extension of time.
Extension of time.
Do not turn this around. Do not turn this upside down. Do not.
More dogs.
What are you gonna point at?
You do not turn this upside down.
That's it. It's
He
just
only
Sam.
pointed out you.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Peyton's not here.
Professor Rogers, why is there no list of things to do today?
Because you know what I decided? This rigidity, this list,
Too much.
this going from one thing to the next. I thought, you know what we would
I
do
love
today?
the list.
We would, I know.
I do. I love a good list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay,
to-do
so
list
when we,
girl.
I know, we like the structure, we like the order. It's like, where's he going next?
It's
Where does
exposure
this come
therapy
from?
though.
But I was hoping that William,
So cute.
I was hoping that William would deliver or somebody. We deliver on what we delivered on, which allows us to do our
Right in front of you. I know.
motion for extension of time. So let us take a look at this. Let us take a quick look at this, all right? So here's what we're gonna do. Motion for extension of time. Great. M&M. Distribution. Focused attention practice. Core concerns.
Nice.
Movement. Discussion. Mindful walking. In class. Depends. Next week we'll definitely do it. Demonstration, so we know what we're doing. Spiral. Raise your hand if you brought your spiral. Excellent.
Sprawl.
What else is there?
Negotiation.
Break, I need
True.
bathroom break at one point.
Break.
Oh, seems like breathe to me, but. Same thing. Same thing, yeah. Breathe.
Well, it'll be a stop practice. We stop. We take a breath. We observe.
Proceed. Oh, what's a P? Isn't it proceed?
Then we.
Oh.
All right. So, what'd you say?
I was like, oh, you're playing games.
It's Halloween.
I wouldn't know about your outfit. Trick or treat. Do you have an outfit for later? Are you gonna like dress
Are you gonna
up?
pass out candy?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey. You're hiding that one. You're hiding that one.
got
I'm the best I can.
You got you.
But you're thinking that I'm gonna come in fully formed as
I thought that this was gonna be your Met Gala.
At least a hat.
I would call that a pipe dream. All right, who would like to read the caption? Loud and confident, slowly and accurately.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll read it? Okay. Before this neural circuit court is petitioner's motion for an extension of time. For the reasons
No, I'm sorry. At the very top, the caption. We'll start with the caption. So read up until the title.
up until the title.
Yeah, look at the
neural
very
circuit
top.
court in and for the great and healthy state of mind.
Okay, so this is what we're exploring in this class, right? The neural circuitry of this cortex, seeking among other things a healthy state of mind. Thank you. Continue on, Nick.
You, aka me, petitioner, versus reality respondent.
Okay, now why do I say versus reality? Here you are. It's you. This is your life. This is your life moment by moment by moment by moment by moment until there are no more moments, right? Hopefully a very long time, but whatever it is, it is. Let's be here for these moments. Let's be here and let's take these moments without so much getting in the way. It's challenging enough as it is. Life is challenging enough. When you're sitting there and a partner, you're doing something and you've got 2 days and you wish you had 3 and maybe something came along that disrupted your 2 days that you really needed to attend to, or maybe you just squandered your time, that is challenging. Even if you have all the time in the world crafting the motion or the pleading to really advance the cause of justice or your client's concerns, that's challenging. Having opposing counsel offer up something to meet what you offer up and then responding to it gets even more challenging. And if the curiosity rides high, and if the patience is with us, well, you all have the gifts and you've been spending 3 years learning the very thing, and you will continue to have a lifetime of learning from others and from yourself, greater and greater mastery. And at any given moment, you can only do what you can do. Somebody's going to do it more skillfully. The comparing mind is not a problem. That somebody else might have done it better is not a problem. Your opposing counsel is going to file motions that sometimes are way better than your motion. But you're still going to get to court. You're going to argue it. Maybe they had more time. Maybe they've been doing it 100 times and you're doing it 3 times. Maybe you had something that got in the way and you weren't really able to spend the time you wanted, or maybe you wish you had done more and now you realize for next time. But fortunately, the practice of law is usually not one moment of time. It's a whole bunch of moments spread over years, months. There's a lot of opportunities to this resistance is always a battle between us and who? What?
Reality.
Reality. That's it. It's not us in opposing counsel. It's not us in the rock. It's us in reality. And you're either going to embrace it, which doesn't mean accept and forgive and stop trying. That's not what embrace means. You're either going to not be resisting it. That's what it means. And you can't stop yourself from resisting. The monkey that is frustrated doing this, lots of luck telling that monkey, stop trying to pull it through. Because it's not wisdom and compassion that's doing that, it's frustration. And fear, maybe. It's going to be taken away. Got to get it right now. So, it's always reality, and in many ways, there's a wonderful story. We'll see. We'll save it for another day. We have an order granting an extension of time. Who would like to begin to read? And we're going to do this together, this order granting an extension of time. Who would like to? Thank you. Yes, please. And you'll take us through to the the motion for extension of time.
Right.
So who
The
would
whole
like
thing?
to read pursuant to the laws?
Pursuant to the laws.
The other side, I
The
already
other
read
side.
the order.
Oh no, it's a motion for extension.
Oh, whoops, I didn't flip it. That's the side.
No, that was me. That was me. Just everybody should be looking at the motion for an extension of time.
You spoiled it.
What?
You spoiled it.
No.
Right? No?
Or did we?
Yeah.
Because you were like, don't flip it over, but
But we were looking at the wrong
you
side.
I
handed
thought
it
there's gonna be a
flipped
picture of
over.
my dog on the other side.
Like we've seen both sides already now.
Well, one is a different time. I'll point that out.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know what?
One's like sage.
You all can get me caught up in resistance. I'm open and receptive to seeing what happens. So we have our motion for extension of time. Who would like to please, if you would, step?
Pursuant to the laws of the great and healthy state of mind, petitioner respectfully moves for an order extending the amount of time available to focus on law school studies and related tasks and projects.
All right. Petitioner is enrolled in law school, known far and wide as a grueling experience where time is short and the workload is heavy. Do we agree?
Fact check true.
William, resonate?
Yeah.
From time to time, petitioner finds there is not enough time to get everything done. Such time includes, write it down, one thing. There are times there's not enough time to get everything done. Such times include, just finish the sentence. Okay, so that's a challenging situation probably that you've written down. That's a life happening, challenging situation. What's an example of what one of you wrote? Such times include finals. November. This is writ large, but it's a challenging time. Can you be a little more specific? What is it about November? What is it about finals? And it could just be finding the time to prepare for finals or something like that, right? But this is, the idea here is this is our challenge. This is our challenge. We want it to be somewhat specific, but whatever you wrote is just fine for purposes of our exercise. Number 2, during such times, petitioner begins to think that, what might you think when it's November? What might you think when its finals are upon us? What's a real quick thought that comes along when the grueling experience where time is short and the workload is heavy hits us in a concrete way? You begin to think that, and what's a thought that somebody wrote down?
I'm never gonna get this done.
I'm never going to get this done. And then number 4, petitioner feels. What might we feel in those moments? And then petitioner also experiences sensations in the body. So when you're having that thought and you're feeling that feeling, what might you be noticing, or at least what might be arising in the body as sensations?
What would be the opposite of like stillness?
Jitters.
Restlessness, agitation, body. It's a good question. It's one of the things that we pay attention, we observe, so that we have a more granular understanding of it from our own direct experience. And as a result, petitioner occasionally feels a sense of, this is something you sort of said, didn't you? A sense of, you said pressure, feeling behind, urgency. That when you feel that, does it increase stress or reduce stress?
Increase.
It increases stress. Does it enhance or perhaps compromise your ability to perform optimally?
Compromise.
Compromises it and undermines petitioner's ability to perform optimally and adversely affects petitioner's relationship with. So who's in the crossfire? Yeah, whether it's a pet, whether it's somebody at home, whether it's somebody far away, and write down who that being is. And then let's all read together the wherefore clause. So ready? On three, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Wherefore,
petitioner respectfully requests that this work enter in order, extending the amount of time petitioner has to study for class, prepare for exams, finish projects, exercise, eat, relax, sleep, and spend time with friends and family.
Are we wishing that we could have this motion for extension of time granted? So go ahead and sign it. This is yours to keep, but go ahead and sign it. And so now, as some of us got to, because of me, but I'm totally okay with it, without turning it over just yet, I am going to, now of course, am I the court? Am I the one that can grant this extension of time? No, I can do that on your paper, which would be one little pebble. So know that if when you're working on your paper, because of circumstances you have going on in your life and or other working related challenges and surprises, and you need a little extra time, you can request that extension of time.
What is the time?
Huh?
What is the time? You haven't shared.
When it's due?
Yeah.
Oh, December 17th. It's on the website.
Oh,
17.
oh, 17. Yeah.
I think that's it.
We can make that it.
I hadn't looked.
But I am going to grant our motion for extension of time.
Yeah, the 12th is the last.
Oh.
Is that a grass? Oh, is that a grass? Is that a greenery?
Where would you put the time if PJ didn't bring the candy? Sorry.
Oh my god.
Oh, they conspired.
Wow.
Oh, one fell.
Oh.
I didn't want that one.
Oh my god, I thought it was just
Definitely.
Good one.
You gave him all the fun bags that you needed to donate.
Nice, thank you.
I hope I get a big one. I want like a tiny middle.
Okay, no, this smells
You're in
It's seasoning.
like a regular.
It's time.
There's on the
Time,
other.
there you go. Oh, it's time.
Time? Oh, it's like a punch.
Yeah,
More
it's
time.
He's so cute. Giving him time. He loves it.
No, give me that one, the whole damn thing.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, my new
You gotta
puppy.
The photo new story was it's so romantic.
Oh my god, I love
They got
seeing it.
Norman, Axel,
Oh,
and
delicious.
Well, so
It
I'm
smells so
going
fresh.
Wow, it smells so good.
break. So
Now
I'm
notice what's
gonna-
happening.
I went to be in
What are many of us doing?
Getting stressed.
Smelling it?
We're smelling it, right? Did I ask us to? Did I instruct us to?
No,
Curious.
we have to.
Very good. Full circle.
Would anybody like some more time?
Sure.
Get it?
Take more time.
More potatoes.
Thank you so much. I love
Anybody
it.
like a little more
This is
time?
like focaccia bread.
I love time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Somebody say yes?
You lost your.
Okay, so a couple things. What is smelling the aroma of time of this if you like it? Of course, if you don't, keep it at a distance. But what kind of technique is this?
Settling technique.
Settling technique, right? Did you do it to settle? No, because it just sort of called to us in a way. Right? We're drawn to things that can be useful. We're drawn to things that sometimes aren't so useful. And as we're now taking a moment, how would you fashion this as a focused attention practice? Who wants to say the focused attention practice instruction for this?
You could try. You would start with setting your intention to stay with the object, being the time.
Good, so focus your attention on
Time.
an object.
On the object.
Being,
When
now you say the time, is it looking at it or smell? What be more specific?
the smell,
Okay, so
in
the
the
aroma.
scenario at least.
But of course, you're not a big fan of time.
I don't think so. I just smelled it.
Yeah.
So
But
look at
Give it another chance.
Adjust.
But importantly,
You don't like
you
the
can
brush?
look at it. Right? It doesn't matter if you're smelling it or if you're looking at it. It's an object upon which you're placing your attention. Very, very nice. Continue on
and
with the intention.
with the intention of remaining with the object.
Okay, so let's do that. Whether you're looking at it or you're smelling it. And if we do this now for 6 minutes, what are you likely to experience along the way?
Too much time.
There is such a thing as too much time, it turns out. What will you experience? For example, if it's too much time, what does that mean? What's the experience of too much time?
You would experience the sensation of too much of the smell.
Okay, that's,
Like nausea.
Nausea,
that-
yeah.
Like
you might get,
nausea.
right, there could be nausea. So too much of the smell, you're right, but that's abstract, that's not the obstacle directly. We want to be more granular. So you could feel nauseous, right? What else?
Hungry.
You could start getting hungry. What else?
You could get used to the smell.
You could
and
get used-
distracted.
You could get used to smell and get distracted. You become habituated to it. So continue on, and when what?
When you get distracted, or when your mind wanders.
Be careful here.
When your mind wanders.
Careful here.
But I thought we said with
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying be careful here.
Just continue.
I'm thinking if and when the mind wanders, redirect your attention back to the object.
Think about it for a moment. Raise your hand if you know what's missing. Okay, good.
At
Very
least
good.
I'm not alone in not knowing what I'm missing.
No, this is great. Because this is the piece we skip over, and you're going to say, "Oh yeah, of course," but it's not. So you said if your mind wanders. Is that really an if?
No.
That was your pivot. That was a pivot in a less helpful direction. You said focus on it with the intention to
Remain with the object.
And then you said and what and when.
When your mind begins to wander.
Okay, now. How many times do you think the mind will wander in a 6-minute period with you're focusing attention on this or the breath or anything else? How many times do you think, for the average person, on a typical day, the mind may wander over 6 minutes?
Plenty of times.
Plenty of times. So are they going to bring it back every single time it wanders?
Oh, and when you're aware that your mind wanders?
When you're aware that the mind wanders. And the reason that's so...
When you notice.
And the reason why that's so important is because that's what the practice is about. And it's the thing we so readily forget because we jump to getting it right or not having something get in the way. And the piece that we oftentimes forget is the real agent of that is the noticing when something begins to, when an obstacle begins to rise. Wonderful, thank you. Okay. So, if we turn it over, and then we'll take our break. Order granting the extension of time. 1, the court finds that petitioner U is enrolled in law school, which can be a grueling experience in which there is limited time to accomplish a great deal. That's a fact of life. If you don't like that fact of life, find another profession, right? Or find a way of working in the profession that gives you more time. And that's noble, but the fact is that you were made for this profession. You were made for this work that you're doing. You all have everything you need. The court also finds that there are moments when petitioner believes, now we're moving from what to what? It's a grueling experience in which there is limited time to get a great deal done. That is a challenge. Finds that there are moments when we believe there is not enough time to get everything done. And sometimes that might be true. But in reality, we've got the time we've got. So even if it's less time than we would like, we will get it done. But that belief is certainly going to get in the way. During such moments, petitioner can experience worrisome thoughts, distressing feelings, and uncomfortable sensations in the body. Much of the time, we're not aware this is happening. We're just squirming and struggling and suffering because we're thinking about that we don't have enough time to get this thing done. But what if there's freedom in the midst of that? The court finds that owing to these thoughts, feelings, and sensations, and a limited awareness of their arising, because it's not the fact that they're arising, it's the limited awareness that they are arising. Petitioner tends to impulsively react with conduct and decisions that can be unproductive and waste time. William, what might we do when we're working on something? We've got 2 days left. We start to get anxious. We feel a sense of urgency. We don't have enough time. What might we just do as a matter of course that ends up wasting a little time?
Overthink and planning.
So we can overthink the very task itself. What might we do outside of the task itself?
Like go on your phone or scroll.
We might go on our phone. Why would we go on our phone? Because we might feel a little better. Why might we overthink? Because we think that by thinking about it more and more and more and more, we might be getting somewhere. But we don't realize that we're just sort of, RPMs are going higher than they need to. The court finds that the growing sense of urgency and procrastination can increase stress, undermine our ability to perform optimally, and adverse our relationship with others. Who are some of the others that you noted?
My family.
Family?
I was saying family and friends.
Family and friends, right? Now, are there times to say, I need a little space, I got a little time, I got to work on this? Absolutely. And then there are times when we just sort of can't find that because we are feeling it's not the circumstances. They may augur for spending time with or not spending time with others, but the impatience will certainly drive that decision. And the impatience is an
obstacle system.
And it's made up of thoughts, feelings, sensations. I don't have enough time. Tightness in the body, feelings. This court is inclined to deny your motion on the basis that additional time will, after a short period of relief, and let me share with you, as my years of practice, commercial litigation, you file them, you're going, oh my God, I'll never get this done. And then you're like, oh, I got to just, and somebody says you're going to, or you decide you're going to file a motion for extension of time. Because you need like 3 more days. But of course you ask for what? 5. And then what happens? The motion gets granted. And then what do you do for the next 4 days? Nothing. And then you find yourself, because whatever it was that was the source of that is still lurking, it's still creeping. It's not the time, it's somehow the way we are navigating it and the way we're managing our own anxiety and antsiness along the way. So we're inclined to deny. We're all the court here. We're all the cortex. We're inclined to deny our motion. This is wisdom. We're inclined to deny our motion on the basis that additional time will, after a short period of relief, because boy, does it feel good. Let me tell you. It's like, yes, going home, got the weekend. I mean, it's a real game changer when you get that psychological sense of freedom. After a short period of relief without sufficient awareness will likely result in a similar pattern of conduct leading once again to procrastination and distress. However, this court, being a neural circuit court in and for the great and healthy state of mind, has decided to grant your motion for extension of time with which to come to your senses, right? Accordingly, the motion is granted. You're instructed to place an extension of time underneath your nose or find your lavender or whatever it is. Underneath your nose, lower or close your eyes. Notice the aroma. Pay attention to the rise and fall of the breath and observe your experience as it just is. All of the practices are baked in there. Focused attention, open monitoring, body scan. Okay, done and ordered in chambers this day up. Okay.
So cute.
All right, Sam.
Wait, Vicky showed us that.
So cute.
This is a mindfulness practice. What is the object of attention?
I'm gonna
Samantha. What is the object of attention?
The M&Ms,
No.
what people ask me for.
You'll either do one of two things, Lily. You'll do this or this. And then you will, what's the we should say primary object of attention, because yeah, you'll obviously be paying attention at some point in time to the M&Ms if you're gonna reach in and get them.
So them?
What's your primary object of attention?
Is it not them?
Yes, it is them. And in particular, keeping an eye out for, okay,
What's what though? Like, what does that mean?
what do you think this means?
What if we don't want peanut, we want
Two?
regular?
Yeah,
How do we?
Oh.
We have to
Two can be peanut and one can be regular.
And 0 could be none.
That's my
Okay,
creativity.
0 is none, 1 is what?
One is regular and 2 is peanut.
Okay, because when you have a little peanut, they usually in those little things that have 2 of them, right? Peanuts come in 2s.
Creative.
So that's how you'll maybe remember. Good. So this is a mindfulness practice. Now, if you're over here, what are you doing? What is your practice?
Patience.
Okay, nice. And what is it that allows us to practice patience? What quality? And what practice helps develop this? Could be focused attention where you're focusing on, but what else could it be? Open monitoring, right? Because this is what's happening in the environment. And you're just open and receptive to it. Of course, if it gets closer to you, you're going to get excited, and then the juices will get flowing, and you'll start salivating. You can notice that. All right, go ahead, Ouchie.
It's like ouchie.
I'll take the
You gotta do it. That doesn't mean anything.
Thank you. Good if I don't. Yeah.
There's limited of these.
Right. Peanut area. Allergens, thank God.
Oh, the peanut, like,
Yeah, it's like this is the back.
Alrighty,
I like seeing what my options are.
M&Ms. Check. Your spirals. What were some of the spiral experiences that you had? Raise your hand, take out your spirals. And what was the spiral experience? Right.
Oh, I can share mine.
Go ahead.
So my doctor, I had like a annual like checkup. My doctor called and like just to be funny, like it was in Miami office obviously. So she's like, "Mama, I've been trying to get in touch with you," and I'm like, "Dang, like that desperate, like what?" And then she's like, "You have to come and do more like tests, whatever. Like we have to like check something out." So then my thoughts. So the life happened was the event of her saying that I had to go do more tests.
This is really, right, so phone call, come in to take more tests.
Yeah.
Everybody who's on the phone, on the receiving end of that call would hear the exact same words. Very objective, very descriptive, nothing added on. Very nice. And then?
So my thoughts were, is this a nice way of breaking worse news? Question mark. Like, am I sick? Whatever. Feelings were anxiety, nausea, scared. Thoughts and body sensations were tension in the shoulders, pit in the stomach. And then overreaction, I started like Googling, like, what does this mean and whatever. But then I was aware of that I was going down a spiral.
Okay.
And then I stopped Googling because I was like, I'm gonna have cancer.
Okay. So, let's.
No, and I went back to, I could close the spiral. I went back to the doctor and everything's good.
Can't tell you how happy I am to hear that. And also, even if it weren't that way, because it's not always that that's the outcome we get, can we still show up and be present and manage because the thoughts, feelings, and sensations you described, can everybody relate to it? And of course, we all have our own experiences, and some of us may very much be grappling with this personally or with others in our life. Most assuredly we will, many of us, and with others at the very least. Can we relate to the thoughts and the feelings and the sensations, right? And what's so marvelous about the way you described it was, this is the shaking snow globe. This goes back to class 3. You got the phone call, it's just a call, snow globe starts shaking. Hard to see clearly. Begins to get very busy with thoughts, feelings, and sensations, assumptions, beliefs, misconceptions, things that might be true but we don't know yet. And so and then somehow, maybe part of our class, maybe part of your practice, maybe just your nature, at some point, because it then led to, if this was the spiral, these overreactions, this is where it becomes costly, right? This is the overhead, this is the drag. The obstacles are just the nature, like Ram Dass, come in for tea, but we don't say come in for tea. He doesn't say come in for tea and stay with me for the rest of my life. He says come in for tea, anxiety, stress, frustration, doubt. And then at some point, it's like, okay, and off it goes. Off it goes. And at some point, you say it again because it was so useful as a reminder to us. At some point, while you were Googling, you realized.
I noticed I was going down a spiral and it wasn't beneficial.
You realized there's a spiral. Now, of course, as you begin Googling, I'm not speaking for your experience, but there's probably less awareness of going down the spiral. So, and this would be, that's not by the way, the worst, a terrible overreaction. It could be useful in a way, might not be. And then sometimes we can't stop ourselves from going down that rabbit hole, and what started off as an okay thing just became this time suck and psychological, emotional strain. Excellent example of a spiral, and brought in how the awareness, because we're doing this, we're practicing, we're having this conversation so we can be more aware of the spirals and of the snow globes in midstream. Catch them along the way. Don't get dumped out, and then look back and realize that maybe we made decisions and did things that whatever we did was as good as we could do. So we don't want to judge ourselves for it. But there are ways that we can learn and prepare. If you're a concert pianist, you don't just practice, you don't just show up at the concert. You prepare. And then there's the external preparing we do, and then there's the internal preparing we do. We're here exploring the internal that optimizes the external. Who else? Spiral. William.
Sorry. I did stubbing my toe on a bedpost.
Stubbing your toe on a bedpost. And?
Can I cuss?
Yeah, you can do whatever. I'm not in charge of you.
First one I put is, fuck. Then who put that there?
Probably.
And then I just broke my toe.
And then is that a fact or is that your?
No, not actually.
Okay, so a thought. You had the,
Yeah, a thought.
The thought, I just broke my toe. The frustration, well, the epithets or whatever, or the, what's the word for the F word? The profanity.
I was gonna say.
Okay. And then what was was there an overreaction?
Yeah, so then it was basically kick it again with my heel, get mad, like kind of get revenge, and then think I'm more hurt than I am, and then actually be because I kicked it again.
Okay, right. And there's so much there, right? We
Yeah.
we add insult to injury with our, and we could say, and what do you think was a primary emotion that you were feeling that prompted this and all this other stuff that only made it worse? And
Pain.
well, the
Yeah,
pain.
just like pain.
Well, remember from chapter 3, we reread it a couple of weeks ago, that little block on pain and suffering. Pain and suffering. So when you hit your foot against your toe, that was what? Pain, right? Most of us would experience that. What followed was
It was an overreaction.
born out of pain and suffering, right? Some people would be like, oh, and then, oh, gotta take care of it. Boom. I'm sure you got to that point. But some of us are like, oh, and then the spiral gets going, the snow globe gets shaking, and now this is very much, this resistance is in many ways a polite way of saying we're suffering. We're suffering. And the more we resist, the more we suffer. And the sooner we realize it, the more there might be a path through it. Okay, did you take away any insight from that experience, or just lay it down nicely for us to reflect on?
Well, yeah, I think just at the end of the day, then it like stops hurting in like within 30 seconds or like a minute.
Right.
So-
Stops hurting. So this brings us to our song, and then we'll do another spiral. So here's a song. There's a wonderful book that I was just introduced to. Hip Hop Mindfulness. What? Lyrical Dharma. This person's orientation is a very Buddhist one. You'll see that in the song in a little bit, but the insight is much broader than that. And I thought it would be so helpful because here's a song that we'll play, that we'll listen to, that is called Practice. That is called Practice. So, if you would, you ready?
I didn't get anything.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
good.
we have an extra one here.
Everybody else got one? Okay. And what was the last thing that William just said? Well, if anybody should know it, it's you, William. What's the last thing that you said?
That it stopped hurting in like 30 seconds, I think.
Said it, yeah, it did stop. You sort of, I think you said it and it went away.
Yeah.
Love is patience, love is grace. Both of these are understandings. Be the mountain, be the ocean. Be forgiven, be devotion. Concentration, then distraction. Slowly learning, self-compassion. When you feel it's getting scary, just remember it's temporary. First it's coming, then it's going. See the past, see the future. Be the present, be the Buddha. When you start to get distracted, just come back again. This is practice.
You see part of what we've been exploring embedded in here as insights. What are some of the lines that you can connect to anything that we've been exploring and connect it to the subject we've been exploring?
At the end, when you start to get distracted, just come back again. This is practice.
Right. When you start to get distracted. Very nice, okay, very nice. Alexa.
Open your awareness, let your body settle.
Open your awareness, let your body settle.
Slowly learning self-compassion.
Relearning self-compassion.
Visits by the demon, sit and watch your breathing. Soon as you can see him, that's when he'll be leaving.
Over here, some line.
That's the one I was gonna say.
Say it again.
Oh, okay. Visits by the demon, sit and watch your breathing. As soon as you can see him, that's when you'll be leaving.
And there the demon would be a strong word for our obstacles. Fear, dread, despair, doubt. These are not light emotions, but the grip they have on us can be far greater than the weight they actually carry, the strength they actually possess. What else? What other lines did you find useful? Yes.
Trust awareness, that's your knowing, there's no coming or no going.
Trust awareness, that's your knowing. But that's a tricky thing to do, trust awareness, you see, because we spent time talking about how we move from challenges, sort of the way we came in here, maybe doing a lot of pointing the finger at others or even ourselves for why things aren't going so well or whatever they be, or they could be better. And what we're learning is that, yeah, of course, but let's really pay attention to the thing we actually have dominion over. We actually can do something about. And we can do something about it, but it says trust. And it's hard to just notice the obstacles. Like that's the open monitoring invitation. It's really all the practice invitations. Just like, why? Why do I want to just pay attention and observe? So it's why we pivot in a moment to what the obstacles can become, because we don't necessarily leave them as obstacles. What else? What other lines did you find useful here, or pertinent, or applicable?
I like when you learn to let go, thoughts are just an echo.
Say it again, the louder.
When you learn to let go, thoughts are just an echo.
Right. When you learn to let go, or to then to the thought, oh, this is so fresh, I can't believe this, I'll never get this, becomes an echo. It just, what else? Yeah.
Everything is forever flowing.
Everything is forever flowing. Some of us like that metaphor of the waterfall. Just, what does that waterfall represent? Life happening, thoughts, feelings, and sensations coming, and we can be under it, or we can step behind and watch it. Right? There's 10,000 metaphors, all saying the same exact thing, or pointing in a very similar direction. There's a book, a wonderful book, thank you all for that, I found when this was shared with me yesterday by a new friend, Isabella Faraz, an attorney, did her undergraduate and MBA here at UM, and then went off to DC, I believe DC, to work with the Department of Energy doing negotiation, really neat person. Anyway, she had just come back from DC and she said, I got this book, and she went to a sound bath that this singer had done. And said she thought this was a nice piece, and I thought, concentration, then distraction. That's what it is, concentration, then distraction. And then, as you remind us, maybe he puts it at the top because it's so important, slowly learning, self-compassion. When you feel it's getting scary, just remember it's temporary. What's that? This too. Here, the messages, the reminders, they come at us in all directions. We already know it. Okay. There's a wonderful book called Looking at Mindfulness, 25 Ways to Live in the Moment Through Art. Very wonderful mindfulness teacher and psychiatrist in France that I hadn't heard of until this book came out. I love this book. And so I made a copy of one of the chapters, which will be one of the readings for this week, called Observe Your Thoughts. And he uses, in all of these, he uses art as a medium. Of course, next week we're going to be where? Museum. So it ties in some ways. All right, the core concerns, if you would. Turn over your blue card. Write down the core concerns. As best you can. In the next 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Without looking at anything. It doesn't matter to me if you get them right or wrong. You're not going to get graded on what you write here. But if you have to...
Like if I get a synonym.
What matters is the underlying insight, the underlying realization. But don't look at something, because if you look at something, then I'm not interested in you showing me that you can look at something and know it. I'm interested in you showing yourself what you don't know. That's the purpose. What you leave out, you're more likely to remember. Somebody's asking if there's 4 or 5. Well, there are definitely 4.
Yeah, but the reading from the thingies had 5.
Well, I just said there's definitely 4.
He's just being silly.
Yeah.
There's for sure 4 because there's 5.
As these authors laid them out, this is just their approach to it.
I thought there was. Yeah, I'm forgetting one too.
It's okay. Just so you know, I'm very.
And one's a synonym.
And by the way, when we do this, you get to write them down. Like you can just fill it in. If you feel nervous or afraid or concerned because you don't know them, the bars are 10 feet apart. They're not even there. The door is not closed. It was never locked. Whether you know it or not, that doesn't change. Though the more we resist, the less likely we are to be able to recall it in some respects. So what are the 5 core concerns? They are?
Affiliations, one of them.
So wait, what's the first one? Say it.
Affiliation.
Affiliation. And then?
Appreciation. That's all I got.
Then?
Status. Role. And I don't know.
Autonomy.
Oh, autonomy.
So go ahead and fill it in.
So right.
If you were interested in making sure you had them all written down, success.
Starting to the one I forgot, so I did not too.
So what are the core concerns? Why are these being offered up by these writers of this book called Using Emotions as You Negotiate?
It's a way of dealing with emotions during an interest-based negotiation. That's how they
In
use
a
it.
negotiation, and it's a way of working with emotions. And what are these 5 things? Anybody? How do we work with them? How do these help us?
Because it's hard to fully encapsulate the emotion somebody's feeling, but the core concern of what it is pretty easy to deal with, or I guess
So
figure
if a
out.
person doesn't feel appreciated, they might be experiencing what emotions?
Insecurity,
Sadness,
rejection.
rejection, agitation,
It's angry.
angry. And if they're not feeling like they're part of a group, they're feeling like they're not affiliated, they're being left out. You know, like when the study group got together and no one called you over. Lonely, inadequate, right? And status, when you feel like, you've been brought into you're working your group at work or something, and everybody's been given something to do, or given an office, and you're like, they don't have an office for you yet, you're going to be out here. How do we feel? Inferior, degraded. We don't have a role. When everyone gets signed something, you got the partner saying, you do this, you're going to go to court, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. You can just wait, I'll have something for you maybe a little bit later. How do we feel?
Useless.
And then you're being micromanaged. You're just being micromanaged. Do this, do this, do this, do this. So Carolina says it quite well. When we are negotiating, you remind us, there are emotions. These emotions can be difficult. The emotions are what? They're part of the obstacles. They're part of the obstacles. And it can be really hard to figure out what are they to be so emotionally in tuned in that moment, however emotionally intelligent we are, because if it's agitated and it's difficult, are we immune from that? No, we're caught up in it too. So it can be helpful if we could say, they're angry, they're feeling, we could somehow respond in a way that's targeting it. But Carolina reminds us it's called the core concerns because these, according to these authors, are sort of a reduction of most all emotions we might be experiencing with a core concern, the concern that the person actually has. I don't feel like I matter. I don't feel like I have a role to play. I don't feel like I'm a part of a group. I don't feel like I have freedom to just make decisions. I don't feel like everybody appreciates me, that they like me, that they, right? So they're saying, so in these moments, step back and do what? When the person that you're negotiating with, and let's broaden this out, the person you're doing what with? You're speaking with, the person you're communicating with. When they're getting a little agitated, when their snow globe is, when their spiral is, what do we tend to do? Because of course their shaking snow globe gets our shaking snow globe, the person gets angry, they're saying, you don't understand me. And then we begin to get what? Angry, defensive, you weren't clear. And we just begin to have spirals battling spirals and snow globes battling snow globes, and they're all feeding each other. But in us, we might be experiencing Well, what about that thing I did for you the other day? Don't you remember that? Doesn't that count for anything? So we've got, it's a two-way thing. This is where Leonard Rissen's going in his article. The core concerns is not a mindfulness practice. It is a negotiation technique. It is like moving from positions to interests, which we've touched on, right? You've got people that have different positions, and you say, well, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? And the answer becomes almost self-evident sometimes, or at least there's a lot more room to figure out a solution. Because we understand the interests aren't an oppositional. In fact, they might be aligned, but the positions are. So there's all these different negotiation techniques. Anchor, if you're going to have a negotiation, throw out a number that is reasonable, but sort of pushes the envelope on what you want, and you're more likely to get everyone psychologically pivoting over to what you just laid out. All these techniques. And then Leonard Riskin says this, and this is one of the questions I asked. Where in the paper does he speak to the value of mindfulness? So I'm going to zero this out for you, unless somebody came up with an answer to that. Where in the paper? So on page, I'm assuming some of you do have this, but I'm just, page 293, you have this handout with the first article. And this is really important. Here's why this is important, what I'm about to read. Because if you were writing a paper on mindfulness and negotiation, this would be your paper. And you would craft it as more of a journey, of course. But this would be your paper. It has everything in it. Everything that is on here, your instructions for your paper, is in here. Everything. So in addition to this being a useful read for purposes of actually learning about a negotiation technique and its application, it also is a model for you in many ways of how he addresses this at a very high level. Of course, he has 75 pages and he's doing it in a more structured way. But that's just because he's got 75 pages and he wants to spend a lot of time exploring it. He says things a lot repeatedly. He says, and this is key, because in this case it's mindfulness and negotiation, but it can be mindfulness in anything. Whatever you're writing about, procrastination, working with, self-doubt, time management, mindfulness, and he says this could be applied in any situation and applied to it. It follows, and this is my principal proposal, is remember the core concerns is a negotiation technique. It's not a mindfulness practice. But he's saying mindfulness and. That a negotiator can enhance their ability to employ the core concerns, meaning you've got this thing that you want to do, and you know how to do it. That a negotiator can enhance their ability to employ the core concerns. Maybe you have a technique for getting to work and not being distracted. Maybe you have a technique for communicating by not interrupting. Maybe you have a technique for trial practice and how you're going to respond to the question that's asked of you. Maybe you sort of know what you're going to do, but then somehow it's elusive, it's slippery in those moments. We could say it's in the moments of obstacles. A negotiator can enhance their ability to employ the blank, in this case, core concern system, through improving their awareness skills. And that's what this whole class has been about. Better understanding what that means, how to tap into it, and to begin to notice some shifts. He goes, I focus on one good way to do this, because there's a lot. A method of present moment, non-judgmental awareness known as mindfulness. A person cultivates the ability to be mindful principally through forms of meditation that are known as what? Mindfulness practices. That's what we discussed last week. Practice mindfulness to cultivate greater mindfulness. These forms of meditation also have become a focus of neuroscientific and other research. Next week when we talk about mindfulness and performance, thank you, Amelia, for bringing that up. We will look at some of that research, and I know, among others, Trent has expressed an interest in that. I will suggest that there is great potential for synergy or mutual reinforcement between the mindfulness and the core concern system. Up above, he says, I call this the core concern system, his application. and I have found it extremely useful not only in negotiations, but in virtually any kind of human interaction, as you all noted. In this article, I focus on one particularly common problem. Think about this in relationship to what you're writing about or anything else that you find interesting and challenging. Sometimes people who understand the core concern systems, know how to use it, and intend to employ it in a particular negotiation either fail to do so or fail to do so skillfully. Now, a person might say, well, I just got to remember those better. I got to remember what they are. I got to have a little note card in front of me that lays them out. I got to, and yes, that could be useful. That's rocks. It's adding more rocks, making it a little bit more skillful, easy to navigate terrain. But fail to do so or fail to do so skillfully. When they review the negotiation, they regret not having used the system or used it as fully as they could and believing that using it would have produced a better result and outcome. When this occurs, it often results, everyone together in a moment, from deficits or faults in the negotiator's Did you have a chance to do the 478 breathing practice? This was at the bottom of the webpage. This is a breathing practice that is a very useful one. I'm going to share with you another one, so you have this under your belt as well. We've learned line breathing, triangle breathing, box breathing. Now there are triangles that look like this. Well, so box breathing could be 4, 4, 4, 4, right? But it could be 5, 5, 5, 5. It could be 6, 6, 6, 6. You might find in time that you're actually able to, and we're all different anyway. So this is the structure, but this is up to you. And this is up to you also if you want to do it. But triangle breathing is a little different in a way, because there's this. Remember, I think it was you. We did the isosceles triangle, right?
Yeah.
But there's also this, right? And there's this. Right? They're all triangles. So what are the lengths? And that can vary. So here's a triangle breathing practice that has the lengths 4, 7, and 8. That has been found to be very effective for working with anxiety and panic. There's something about the slight modification, the length of the hold, the length of the release, etc. So we're going to inhale to the count of 4. We're going to hold to the count of 7. And we're going to exhale to the count of 8. 3, 2, and of course, be kind to yourself. If you don't feel like doing it, just make a little pivot. But 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Allow breathing to resume its natural pacing and rhythm. Let's do it again. 3, we'll do it twice now if you want to follow along twice. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Allowing breathing to resume its natural pacing and rhythm. If you're doing this on your own, find a pacing that's comfortable for you. It might have been too slow for you, it might have been too fast for you. But importantly, keep the pacing the same. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same as the 1 through 7. It's the same as the 1 through 8. Okay. Any questions or comments? Because this week practice that, and next week we'll add an element of the body to it. Yeah.
I do that one when I can't fall asleep.
Okay, so you know 4, 7, 8. You've been introduced to it. Okay, and do you find it useful?
Yeah, it puts me out.
Okay, and there can be a variety of reasons. One is the physiological shift that it brings about. The longer exhalation, we've begun to talk about that. Heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down, various other things subside. The whole can be helpful. So if you find it helpful, you can find it helpful. But what are you also doing with your attention when you're doing that practice laying in bed?
It's on the breath.
Right. Your attention is focused. So let's not lose the forest for the trees around us. It's a very effective relaxation practice. This one effectuates a physiological shift that you're leading yourself in doing, but also just beneath the curtain, there's something that we're doing intentionally with our attention, and to some extent, maybe awareness brought into it as well. I've given you all one of these in the reading that you have this week on practice. You'll have two things to read. One of them will be this, which I think you'll really enjoy. I think it'll be not unlike the song. It'll bring things together. But you'll read about Harley Tropin, a trial attorney, and his using this D&D. You're encouraged to use it. You may have this already, but if you don't, I want you to have it again. So stand up if you would. Two things. Two things. One is this. We move from challenges to obstacles. So say if you would just say what's an obstacle that you're likely to write about in your paper. We've all talked in our meetings about picking one for each of the two challenging situations. What's an obstacle that you might be talking about?
Frustration.
Frustration.
Fear.
Fear.
Self-doubt.
Panic. What thoughts might there be?
I'm never gonna get this done. I'm never gonna get this done.
Right. So to be able to realize that that's arising, that's huge. That's the breakdown of the spiral. So we can see it. And then it moves from obstacle, and the obstacle moves to become what?
Opportunity.
Opportunity. But no, it's not. But it is. I mean, it is. It's not just one answer to these things. It is. It becomes the what of our mindfulness practice. Huh?
Object.
It becomes the object. What'd you say? Okay, well, you're very oriented in the result. But in ways, we could look at it as the result. But it becomes the thing that we're. So can you pay attention to frustration? Can you actually observe it? And Carolina gave us an example of how she became aware of the spiral, but in some ways that meant that she had a momentary glimpse at this. The more we can allow anger and fear, etc., to be the object of attention, then we see it much more clearly than it is. And the song practice points to some of the reasons why that is. So we're going to just take one more minute just so we can have the mindful walking practice that you'll be doing this week. The invitation is to practice this mindful walking. So just give yourself a little space between you and the person next to you. This is what mindful walking looks like.
Now walk it out, now walk it out.
This is what it looks like. It's like do not interrupt in a conversation. It looks like this. But it's what's going on internally. It's the Sherlock Holmes within. And by the way, thank you, those of you, whether you brought it from within into the classroom. We didn't finish, did we? Extension of time. Well, next week, bring your Sherlock Holmes. It's always this side that gets the short trip. Okay, in one word, what's your internal Sherlock Holmes? What's your internal
Dedication.
Dedication.
Okay.
Joy.
Curiosity.
Enthusiasm. Investigation. Inquisitive. Thought.
Patience.
Oh, I already went. Tenacity.
Tenacity. So turn to your side so that you've got the person in front of you looking ahead. So you're not going in the same direction. You're going in a different direction. Turn to your right. And we're going to take 5 slow steps. But with the first step, feel the foot as it makes contact with the ground. Then as you take your second step, feel your foot as it makes contact with the ground. What is the foot making contact with the ground? It's the object of attention, and it can be the sensation that's the object. You could, if you want to, when your right foot makes contact now, you could say right, and to yourself. And then when you move the left foot, you could say left. And you could say right and left. And what's the object of attention? The voice, right and left. So you have a choice. You can practice this, and now you can turn around and come back, but it's the same thing. the foot making contact with the ground, or you're saying to yourself, left, right, or 1, 2, is the object of attention. And you're focusing on that. And what will happen sooner or later, Stephanie, to your focus as you're walking? Your mind will
Wander.
And will you bring your attention back automatically?
Nope.
What is necessary?
Awareness.
Being aware of. And so when you notice that your mind wanders, you bring your attention back to. You have one piece of paper with you, which is this word scramble. Before you read the assignment, do go outside and do this as a focused attention practice.
So exciting.
Don't you stop.
All right, leave your blue cards. Feel free to take a snack with you. If you're not here next week because you're taking an exam, I wish you all the best with your exam.
No, it's not next week, it's the week after.
Oh, good, okay.
Sweet.